guess I'd start off by saying that I understand why people go on diets. I understand that dieting is the main way in which people balance their nutrition. But there is a false belief, having said that, that diets are the best way to lose weight. And the reason I say that is because when you starve your body, when you deprive your body of nutrients, when you take down the number of calories, your body is doing something which is unnatural for it. And so it triggers its emergency mode, if you like, and your psychology towards food completely changes. So when you diet, actually, it's counterproductive because dieting can only be temporarily successful because the body will never let you be in a state of malnutrition. And therefore, the body will do everything or the mind and body working together will do everything necessary to actually make you get that food back. In other words, it will make you more hungry. It will make you more irritable about not having food. And when you do get the opportunity to eat, you will tend to probably eat more than you would have done otherwise. And so there is this fallacy, this misnomer, and certainly, this misunderstanding and this myth perpetuated by the dieting industries that diets are the best way to lose weight. It's all about balance at the end of the day. And if you want to lose weight, well, there are a few simple things you need to do, even though in effect they're not that simple to achieve. The first is you have to cut out your snacking and grazing between meals. You have to recognize the fact the body only needs 3 meals a day. And you also need to move more than you are at the moment. It doesn't have to be a marathon. It doesn't have to be, going to the gym necessarily, but it just means you need to move more to get your metabolism working. If you ask me whether or not I think that the commercial systems out there, like Weight Watchers or Slimming World, work, the simple answer is yes, they do. There's no question about that. And in fact, they're a very good starting point for most people if you've never been able to diet on your own, because they create a social environment, or they create a structured way of looking at nutrition and looking at goal setting. However, where these systems tend to fail long term is that they never handle the one area of weight control which eludes most people, and that's when it comes to comfort eating, when it comes to snacking and grazing between meals. We are all programmed from a very early age to see certain foods, whether it be sweet or savory, chocolates, biscuits, crisps, whatever it happens to be, almost with a sense of reward. We tend to eat those foods because it makes us somehow fill a void. And that can, for most people, be when they're bored or when they're feeling a little bit emotionally challenged. Just think of what you do with a baby. With a baby, you always give them a dummy, or you can give them a dummy to pacify them. Well, in a way, isn't that what we do as adults? We tend to eat a packet of crisps or, have a chocolate bar as a way of as a way of satisfying that void. And so even though these commercial systems are very good at maybe talking about calories and talking about how to lower the amount of additional energy in the system, what they're not so good at doing is telling people how not to think about those snacking thoughts, which are constantly present. Because when you tell somebody not to do something, unfortunately, the brain doesn't respond in the way you think it will. By not doing something, you want it more. And so willpower is the main, if you like, psychology behind most people's attempts to deal with those thoughts. But willpower alone never succeeds long term. So that's where I guess I come in, because with hypnotherapy, what I can teach people to do is really to switch off the reward center of the brain. There are actually three things that the hypnotherapy process can achieve, but the first and most important one is this ability to switch off your snacking and grazing thoughts through a number of very structured and specific techniques and exercises which I teach you. You will find that you are able to look at a chocolate bar, look at a packet of crisps, and feel nothing at all. I mean, literally nothing at all. And of course, because that's the case, that's what causes the behavior to change. There's no magic bullet, there's no holy grail when it comes to losing weight, but controlling your thoughts around the wrong foods is a good starting point, and certainly one that can be sustained once it's changed. You see, we can all outgrow certain connections that we have developed through our lives. If I said to you, do you believe in Father Christmas? If you're an adult, the chances are you don't. But if you were a child, those emotions inside you towards thinking about Father Christmas are very, very different from you thinking about Father Christmas as an adult. Well, that's the same thing that can happen with food. You can feel very differently about food. But it's a case of outgrowing food rather than quitting it. It's about learning that you can feel that sense of release rather than resisting those thoughts all the time. The second element to the gastric band hypnosis system is baked into the title, this idea of the gastric band. A lot of people tend to overeat. They tend to have this feasting attitude of the food that they've got in front of them, and their plates tend to be piled high, a lot bigger, portion sizes maybe, than they need to be. Well, again, through hypnotherapy and again, some of the techniques that I teach, you learn to become more mindful of each and every mouthful. Think what happens when you have a gastric band inserted. As the proper operation, you squeeze the stomach becomes smaller, therefore it makes sense for it to fill quicker. Well, again, if you're open to the hypnotic process, you can feel that fullness. You can actually experience that fullness much, much quicker than maybe you would have done in the past. And so with my particular system, you are taught through a number of very, very structured and specific rules how to recognize that feeling. And when you do recognize that feeling, well, you stop eating. And obviously, if you combine that with the fact that you're not snacking and grazing between meals and the fact that you're cutting down the volume of food, well, you're beginning to achieve the same things you would have achieved with a typical diet, but you're not feeling it's as difficult. You're not feeling like you're constantly thinking about food, because food has now become the function of your life, not the be-all and end-all. And that is why it works. That is why you start to realize that actually your whole philosophy has changed. Your relationship with food has changed, and you're starting to eat less. You're not, snacking and grazing. You are basically doing what the body needs to do to stay in balance. And so, the second stage of this is about achieving that more mindful attitude to each forkful of food, or spoonful, whatever it happens to be. All of these changes would be, pointless unless you could sustain them. And where this particular approach, and I've been doing this now for quite a few years now, where most of my clients have succeeded in the past with this, where they haven't with diets, is because this is easy to achieve. Because it doesn't require thought. It doesn't require constant conscious thought. That's where hypnosis comes in, because hypnosis is about making those changes, but for it to feel effortless and for it to feel like you're not using willpower. That's why it seems to work. Because once you've tapped into the subconscious, you can sustain change. It takes about 21 to 28 days for any human being to change any habit long term. And this is one of the ways you can do it. But what I teach in my system is this idea of goal setting, and setting goals that are realistic, goals that allow you to achieve and feel like you've achieved, so that it's not just a 28-day program and then you just revert to square one like you may have done with diets, where you've done the yo-yo effect all through your life. It's about sustaining the change and making sure that you can go on to set new goals. And so people who come to see me, I've got one gentleman who came to see me who's lost 8 stone, and that's no word of a lie. I've got people who've lost 4 stone, 3 stone. It's all and it's all documented. It's all there on my website. You can go to gastricband-cumbria.com and you can listen to people talk about it. And there's countless more people who have done this, but haven't appeared on video necessarily. But you can get the evidence of where people have succeeded. So does it work? Yes, it does. Does it work for everyone? No, it doesn't actually. And it actually only works for 85% of people. But that's why here at the Cumbria Hypnosis Clinic, I offer the exclusive offer, I offer the exclusive guarantee, if you like, that if you are not a candidate for this, and I can test for it, I can actually do a number of exercises that can test for this, then you walk away. There is absolutely no charge. But if we do go ahead, that's when you start to pay for the. Now, if you want to know exactly how many sessions it's going to take and, whether you're a candidate for this or, you'd like to know more information, then it's very simple. All you need to do is simply fill in the form by clicking on the link that you can see here on this particular page if you happen to find yourself on Facebook, or by just clicking or just filling in the form if you're on my website at the moment and you're watching this video. This is a no obligation chat, because I want you to be absolutely happy before you even embark on this process, because I know that if you're here, the chances are you've been disappointed. You've been really disappointed in the past by what diets promised to give you but didn't give you. But what you are going to do is you're going to control your weight. You are going to start to adopt a new philosophy. You see, hypnosis cannot make you lose weight, but it can change your entire attitude. It can change your entire, if you like, psychology, so that you're in a better position to achieve those things that, seemed really hard with a diet. So I don't know your body. I don't know how fast it's going to, give up that weight. But what I do know is that if you do what you've always done, you're simply going to get what you've always got. So this is, if you like, a thinking outside the box system, one that, has helped countless people through the years. And, I'd invite you just to, just have a chat with me about it and see what you think.